Evening class, it's me, Jaron Milan. Pardon me if I'm a bit stuffy. My allergies are kind of hectic today, as some of you may be suffering as well, so I definitely feel your pain. But yeah, let's get right to this. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to make a water reflection effect in Photoshop on an image. First thing we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to be creative with this. So let's use the crop tool to remove the water from this image, so that way we can create that illusion of water ourselves. So we go ahead and use the crop tool, save those effects. We want to duplicate this image here. Easiest way is Command or Control J, whichever type of computer you're using. Or you can go to Layer, Duplicate Layer. Either way works. Now we want some canvas. We want to add some canvas to the bottom of this. That way we have more space to work with rather than just this image. And so the easiest way to do that is go to Image, Canvas Size. The easiest way I found to do this is change it to %. Leave width alone because we don't want to change the width. We just want to add some height to it. So change the height to 100. Make sure this relative box is clicked. That way Photoshop knows to keep this original image intact. And then we want to click this middle top square on the anchor. And what that does is tells Photoshop exactly where you want to expand. And you can see that. It's only going to expand under it. Hit OK, and then boom, we have our new image. Now what we want to do is start to create the illusion of our reflection. And how we're going to do that is select our top layer of our image, select the Move tool, and then we're going to go here to Edit, Transform, and we want to flip vertically. And then this guy is upside down now. This very cool tiger we have to work with here. And we're going to pull this down, and that way we start to build the base of our reflection. So now that we have that set, we want to merge these two layers into a new layer. And the easiest way I found to do this is Command Option Shift E. That's Command Option Shift E on a Mac, or I think that's Control Alt Shift E on the PC. And now we have a third layer here of both of these images merged together. Very good. So now what we want to do here is create another layer. And what we're doing with this layer, this is going to be where our effect really comes from. So I'm gonna deselect all of these so you can see we have a blank layer here. We want to fill this layer with white. We want just a plain white background. And so getting low there. So the way that I do this, I press D to make sure I have my default colors, black on top, white on the bottom. You can press X, pardon me. You can press X to swap those colors, and then we're going to go ahead and get the fill tool and fill our background till we have that white. Alright, and the next thing we want to do here is we want to make this a filter. So we're going to do that by clicking Filter at the top, and then we will go to the Filter Gallery. And here's, for my practice, it's already selected, but we want to find Sketch. Open Sketch, pardon me, so sorry. We want to find Sketch, open Sketch, find Halftone Pattern, as I have selected here, Halftone Pattern. And the way that I got these values, 10 and 7, were just trial and error. The size, that changes the width of your lines, and the lines are going to make that ripple effect. So I found 10 was a really good medium thickness there, and the contrast is how sharp or how blurry those lines are going to be. I'm sorry, normally this will be set default to dot, but you want to switch it over to lines. So that's, again, Sketch, Halftone Patterns, Pattern Type Line, and then you want to play around with your values, but 10 and 7 worked for what I needed. So then once we have that, hit OK. Now we have our trippy lines there. Cool. Next thing we want to do is, again, we're building the foundation of our image that we're going to make later. So let me enable those. We want to distort this image, but we'll only want to distort the bottom because the bottom is where the reflection is going to be, and the top of the image is going to be untouched. So how we'll do that is by holding down Command and selecting Layer 1, where the image is solely on the bottom, as you can see here. what holding down Command did when it made sure that it only selected the portion where the image is on layer 1. So we'll go ahead and enable that. And from here, pardon, so sorry, I can't take these allergies. From here, we want to go ahead and go to Edit, Transform, and Perspective. And now we have these boxes that we can free transform. We want to grab the little bottom right corner box or bottom left, whichever you prefer. Stretch it out a bit. I think that is sufficient. And so now we have messed with the perspective on that. And what we want to do is go to the top. Oops, sorry. Click Move tool to apply our changes. Go to the top. Go to Layer, Duplicate Layer. This will bring up the dialog box. Let's call it Reflections Filter. Why not? Reflections Filter. Document. Save it as new. Reflections Filter. Hit OK, and this is going to open it in another tab. So all we're going to do here, this is just a filter we're going to use for later. So we're going to save as Reflections Filter PSD. Good. Save it. Hit OK if this comes up. Maximize compatibility because we want to keep everything unified. And now that we have that saved, we can go ahead and close this. Go back to our original tab, and we can go ahead and delete this layer. You can drag it to the delete bin, or simply right-click and delete layer. Yes. So now we have just our image. So what we're going to do now is add these filters and start making that effect of that reflection at the bottom. So I want to click Filter, and we're going to start with Blur and the Motion Blur. And again, this is what I previously did. As you can see here, sorry, the values, again, I got them by just trial and error, playing around with that. 90 for the angle and 6, as you can see if I changed it, kind of cleans it up a bit. So I found 90 was not too intense of a blur, a nice little blur, because the next portion is where we really get our effect from. So angle 90, distance 6, hit OK. And then now we want to go back up to Filter, and we want to click Distort. And under Distort, we want to hit Displace. And again, I got these values just by messing around, 4 and 0. But I do want to stress that you keep this stretch to fit and repeat edge pixels because we want to keep this shape intact. So we hit OK. And now this is going to bring up a load screen. So sorry. And so we want to find our filter that we made earlier, Reflections Filter. And we want to open that. And now, as you can see, very blurry down here. Very blurry picture. Really looking like a reflection in the water. But we don't want to stop there. We want to make it look legitimate and real. So, oh, actually, I skipped ahead just a bit. So, this is not a problem because this is a tutorial. It teaches you what to do and what not to do. Why not? So, let's just skip back to before I put those effects on. And what we want to do is we want to add these effects in a clipping mask. And so we went down and I clipped the clipping mask. Now we have that here. Now that's much better because then these effects will only happen to the selected portion. So again, we're going to go back to Blur. We go to Motion Blur. Oops, I'm sorry. I had the mask selected and not the image. Blur, Motion Blur. Hit OK. And then we go back to Filter. Displace, Distort, Displace. Select our filter. And then Xbox mute. Sorry, my TV started up for some reason, but luckily I have technology and can voice command that to mute. So right back to this. We have it blurred here. And so what we're going to want to do is we want to do some colorization to that. So we're going to add a layer. We're going to add a adjustment layer to this. And how we're going to do that is I'm going to click down here on adjustment layer, and we're going to hold down Option this time, Option or Alt on your computer, and click Hue Saturation. And did not seem to do exactly what I wanted. Let's go back and try this one more time. I'm so sorry, 1 second. Alright, so we're going to go back, take one step back, and adjustment, hold down Option, Hue Saturation. Why are you not doing what I want you to do? We wanted to open a new dialog box, and I will figure that out through just a quick trial and error. There we go. Open the new dialog box, and what we wanted this because it's important. So I did that by clicking down here on the layer mask. I'm sorry, the adjustment layer, holding down the Option key on my Mac. But what I want it to do is I want this dialog box to come up so I can click Use Previous Layer to create clipping mask. That way it will only do this effect over the image that we want, the part of the image that we want. So we're going to hit OK. We're going to colorize, and now you see, there we go, perfect. It only did it on the bottom part of that. So now we can get more of a real water tone. And it's still a bit cartoony, but that's because the opacity is too high. So if we click this box right here in the corner, right next to the normal, it says opacity, we can lower the opacity of that. And that's a bit too low, but as you can see, with a bit of messing around, you can start to find that sweet spot and maybe move the color a bit more again. And the opacity to where you feel it looks genuinely like a reflection in water. And let's close all of this so you can take a look at our work. And yeah, there we go. Now we have this reflection of this tiger taking a sip of water. And tigers are cool. I think this picture came out pretty cool. I was actually really excited to find this out myself. So I hope you all enjoyed, and thanks for watching. Alright, take care.